Hey folks, Andy here, and I finally get to show you the game as it is. One thing I like about Tabletop Simulator is that I just get to show this to you without having to set up all kinds of filming equipment. I can just show you, like what this would look like on a real table. So yeah, here we go. So the idea of Escape from Scrapland, that's the working title, is that you are a girl named Gracie who got lost in her uncle's scrapyard, and she finds that she has to make her way home, and the sun is setting, the hours are ticking by, and so she is going to need to barter, battle, build her way out, and she's surrounded by these scary sentient scrap creatures, and so these scrap creatures involve things like bolt rats or tetanus worms or minor ductwork, an ugly sweater ghost, friendly can of lube, things like that. And so what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going through the rounds, and you're going to be encountering creatures, and one way or another you're going to have to get past these creatures. And the most lucrative way is to kill them. And when you kill them, you get stuff. And there are 4 kinds of materials in the game. There is metal, fabric, oil, and duct tape. So those are the 4 kinds of materials, and you can see here that the icons here that I currently have, there's the metal gear here. Maybe I do this. Yeah, there's this little metal gear here. The flag here is the fabric, and the oil is the little drop is the oil. I'm going to have better icons later. This is a prototype, of course. So And so what you've got here is that you've got so you can battle the creatures and get their stuff, but you can also get their stuff other ways. So as you collect all this stuff, you're going to be keeping track of what you have. So as you can see here, I have this resource tracker. This is the resource tracker, and this keeps track of what you have. And so as you can see here, right now I have 4 metal, and here I have 3 fabric. Now you'll notice that each one of these columns has a different number here, and that corresponds to how much you're going to be able to carry. Your carrying capacity is represented by the number of yellow cubes that you have. So right now, Gracie has 3 carrying capacity. She can only carry 3 things. Now, say I need to carry, say, 8 metal. I could do 7 here and 1 here. So you can use more than 1 cube on the card, but that means you're going to need an extra cube. Now, of course, if I were to carry 8 metal, I'd have to drop my 3 fabric because I don't have enough cubes. To get more cubes in the game, you are going to need to get more carries. And so, for example, the primary way to get carries is to use a tote bag. Yeah. So then you've got fabric, oil, these are your cubes. And then over here you have some other stats. So for example, your attack, your hit points, they start at 10. The round timer, you're going to have to do this whole thing within 8 rounds. And then this is every time you encounter a creature and you end up fighting them, this tracker is what you use for fighting that creature's hit points. In addition to that, you can also carry, using your yellow cubes, you can also carry tools. And you can carry as many tools as you like as long as you have cubes for them. So, for example, if you want 2 fireballs, you're going to need 2 cubes for those fireballs. You just stack them up here. But and you can see that these tools do all kinds of things for you. So, for example, a fireball you can use any time in battle and just, boom, hit them for 5. Or bandages allows you to recover hit points, and so on. The object of the game, and I apologize, 4 minutes in and I haven't even said the object of the game. Gracie needs to get out of Scrapland. And so the way that she gets out of Scrapland is she has to do 2 things. She has to, number 1, build a Zeppelin. So building a Zeppelin means that you need to, at one point in time, have 8 metal, 6 fabric, 4 oil, 3 duct tape. Okay? Right now, she starts with no duct tape. Once she defeats once she gets the Zeppelin, she needs to defeat the evil Crane. So the Crane here is the final boss, and basically is a much more difficult creature. And more importantly, his hit points is equal to 26 minus the time left. So the sooner you can get to the Crane, the better. Although honestly, lately, based on the game balance right now, most of the time you're gonna end up getting there with 1 or 2, with no or 1 day to spare. So, what are the creatures? Here are the creatures. Here are some example creatures. There are 7 creatures. Well, actually, no, sorry. There are 14 creatures. There are 7 cards. And so each creature card has a small creature side and a big creature side. Initially, you're going to hit all the small creatures, but then as you defeat the small creatures, you flip over the cards and they become the big creatures. So as you can see here, here's the minor ductwork. And the 3 things in the minor ductwork say the top thing is barter. So what can I do to barter to exchange goods? The second one is build. Third one is battle. So let me explain what those do. When you encounter a creature, if you barter with them, you have to exchange goods. Now there are a couple of different formats that you'll see. The first one is this colon thing. So 3/2 metal to fabric means that I can give this creature 3 metal, he'll give me 2 fabric, or I can give him 2 fabric, he'll give me 3 metal. It goes either way, and then the colon also means that I can do that as many times as I want. The ore here is an exclusive ore. So for example, the bolt rats, I can give them fabric, and they'll give me metal. I can give them metal, they can give me fabric, but I can't do fabric and oil. So I can't make a trade fabric to oil in this scenario. I can only do, my trade has to involve metal. You'll also see that sometimes you'll have something like recover 4. You'll see the word 4 in here. And the word 4 is important because it's not reversible. So this one you can go either way, metal to fabric, fabric to metal. But whenever you see the word 4, that means that I can't like spend hit points to get oil. I can spend oil to get hit points, and that's it. And that's actually a lot of times the case in, say, the building of the tools. So the same kind of language works in building tools. Okay. Now, when you encounter a creature, you have to do one of the 3 things. Exactly one of the 3 things. You can't do barter, then build. You have to do, barter, and then move on, build, or then move on, whatever. And then at the end of the encounter is when you need to be able to carry your cubes. So if you cannot carry... so if you can't carry them in the middle, but then you're going to like spend them or something, you can do that because it's when you move from one encounter to the next. Finally, we have battling a creature. So you can see here that every creature has a hit point and an attack, and then they have an insta-kill situation. Not all of them have an insta-kill, as you can see. Ugly Sweater Ghost does not. But they have a hit point and attack. So when you battle a creature, the first thing you do is you... decide that you're going to do that, and you load up their hit points. So in this case, minor ductwork would be 14 hit points, and then he has a 2 attack, so that you just remember as you go through your battle. And here's my die. So what you do is you start every turn. You do a series of turns, and you roll your die each turn. So at the beginning of each turn, you roll the die, and if it lands on 6 is a critical hit. I'll get to that in a minute, but say it lands on a 3, 2 through 5 is just kind of the normal hit. So what you do is so I hit this creature for 3, and so his hit points would go down to 11. Now there's also one other stat that you take into account, and that is attack. So right now my attack is 0. Attack is something that you add at the end of your roll. So at the end of your hit, so in this case I hit for 3, I add what my attack is. So say my attack here was 2. In this case, I would be hitting for 2 plus 3, 5. Okay. There are 2 exceptions to this. The first is rolling a 1. Wow, what are the chances of that? So rolling a 1 means that you missed. And so therefore you hit for 0. And even if you have an attack of 4, you still hit for 0. So no matter what, so there's always the danger of hitting for 0. Okay. The other special guy is 6. So when you roll a 6, that's a critical hit, and this is a mechanic that uses what's called exploding dice. And so exploding dice is where your roll is going to be 6, and then I get to roll again, and I get to add it to my previous roll. So in this case, right now, my hit would actually be for 8. And then, of course, if my attack was, say, 2, it would be 6 plus 2 plus another 2 for my attack. My hit would be 10. So that would be a big hit. Now, I can keep going. If I roll another 6, I can keep going. I roll another 6, another 6. Now, say I roll a 1, and say I roll a 1 as part of a critical hit. That means that the entire hit is now 0. So if you roll a 6 and then a 6, you think it's going to be 12, but then you roll a 1, it's going to be 0, even factoring in your attack. So there is always a possibility that you can roll a 0. That's what makes it fun. Losing is fun. So, okay. The other way to kill a creature is to have tools. So some of them will say have tote bag. This means that you have a tote bag in your possession. So like you have a cube on the tote bag thing, and so if you have a tote bag, you can just use it to kill the bolt rats, and you don't actually lose the tote bag. So this would be like the rats crawling into the bag and then you just slamming it against a wall or something. You could still reuse the bag. But in this case, like minor ductwork, you would like use up the bandages. So here it says ditch bandages. So pay attention to whether or not it says ditch or have. Once you defeat the creature, you get all of the items that they are made of. So none of them are going to be made of duct tape. You're going to have to find duct tape other ways. And then once you do that, flip it over. So yeah. There you go. That's I believe that's the game. I apologize. That took like what 11.5 minutes, but that's what we're running at right now. It took a little while to explain. Like I said, this is a new game for me. I'm learning it as much as you are, even though I designed it. So I'm gonna get better at explaining the rules. But there you go. There's the initial rules explanation. Any questions? Ooh, I have a question. Okay, I hear a couple of things that I missed. So, first of all, in the attack, so what does the creature attack mean? So you do your hit, you handle all the criticals, you figure out what your hit's going to be, and then it's the creature's turn, and then they subtract their attack from your thing. So in this case, I just rolled a 6. And then I decided to keep going. I don't think I mentioned that either. So you can choose to quit. Like you can say, "Whoa, 6, that's enough. I'm not going to risk it," and then go with it. So you don't have to always re-roll. You get the option to. But in this case, I rolled a 6 and then a 5, so I hit him for 11. Okay, let's assume he's not dead yet. So then I lower my hit points by 2. So that's how that works. The other thing that I didn't explain is you only hit 3 creatures every round. So you'll notice that I arranged the cards here, and there are 7. So there's 2 that are not being used. So you always have to do the left hand one. So you have the left hand guy. You always have to hit that creature. But then you encounter either the northern route or the southern route. So in this case, maybe I'm going to choose to do minor ductwork and then do soccer wrench puppy, then bolt rats. And so in that case, just to make it clear to yourself, you take the other 2 cards and set them aside. You go through all 3 of these creatures, and then as you handle them, you put them on the deck, and then once you're done with the round, you tick down the round, boom, like that, and then you shuffle and do it again. And so So that way, there's always a part at the beginning of the round where you're figuring out, am I going to do the northern route or the southern route? So again, I have to do the bolt rats in this particular round, and then I could either do soccer wrench puppy and minor ductwork, or I can do rusted out toolbox and ugly sweater ghost. So yeah, I think that's just about it. Again, apologize that this rules video is so long. I swear there is a much faster way to explain this, but there you have it. All right, thanks. Have a good one.